Thank you for watching the World Community Magazine's Hour of Power Live on Facebook with your hosts Edward McQueen and April Garner.
Oh, good evening to our beautiful family. Welcome to the World Community Magazine Live, right here on Facebook and YouTube, and our webcast, www.wcmagazine.net. Good evening. I'm your host, co-host, my famous sister. April Garner. She got my favorite glasses on. Okay.
Yes. Just for you tonight.
Right. And of course, the man of the hour, or we're gonna say the man of the year this time, Brother Markus McCullough. And Markus is going to be a continuing reporter for us. And you're going to, for those of you who don't know what's going on in Conway, a lot of us just don't, because just so many other things are happening, and they're all happening at the same time. But we have Markus here with us today to really take us really through all of this that's going to be going on, and that has gone on and current today. So welcome, Markus, and we're glad that you were able to be with us today.
It's great
Looking forward to seeing you. Yep, looking forward to seeing your face every week now, we have been seeing it just about every week.
Right.
All right, looking forward for some more, man. So, and good evening to our viewers. I asked the question again. If you're not aware of all the stuff that's going on in Horry County and beyond, we're gonna say beyond, but specifically for Horry County and more specifically for Conway, for the time being, we're here tonight to really fill you in on it, and hopefully, if there's anything any question that you wanted to ask our reporter, Brother Markus, just please use our comments on the side, and feel free send your comments. If you enjoy what he's doing, please comment on that also. It's probably most important. So let's get started, April. Surprised you haven't said anything yet.
Well, Brother Edward, you doing all the talking. You're opening this up quite well, and you're doing a good job. Yeah, but we just want to remind everyone, just like Brother Edward said, if you want to ask questions or join the conversation, use the comments on Facebook and YouTube, and of course, if you're watching from wcmagazine.net, that is linked to our YouTube channel, so you can always drop in comments that way as well. If you're watching through that website, no worries, we should see it. And Brother Markus, he's very familiar with how this works, so he'll be able to see the comments as well and answer any questions that he can possibly answer along the way. So Markus, I know that you typically start off with a few things that you like to highlight, which are your Conway congratulations, your city council updates, and community announcements, but you have so much today. Tell us how you want to start off.
Well, the first thing I want to start with is explain to people why it's important to be community literate. So the main question people have is, what is community literacy?
All right.
And so community literacy is basically understanding what's taking place in the community and how it affects you. See, there's a difference between reading it and seeing the announcements and seeing all the other things that pop up. But the important part is truly understanding how it pertains to your life. And so everything that you'll learn at a city council or a county council or on the city and county websites won't pertain to you exactly. But there are certain things that pertain to certain aspects in your community, the community of friends and family, and also the community of other people who are like-minded as you, who practice the same things, have the same hobbies and things of that nature. And that's really big, because a lot of people don't understand the concept. Community is a community. People think community is just a neighborhood, your neighbor across the street, neighbor beside you, behind you. But community is what brings us all together.
Mm-hmm.
See, especially when you live in a small area considered as ours. Most of the towns in Horry County are considered to be rural towns. Even the city of Conway is considered to be a rural town. It's not a metropolitan or anything of that nature.
Right.
So what we need to do is to band together so that we can get our points across and to build a better community for the future. Because I heard it best yesterday in the city council meeting, the things we deal with and talk about aren't just going to pertain to an immediate change only, but for 25, 35, 40, 50 years down the road.
Absolutely.
For our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren,
Absolutely.
things that are going to be here long after we're gone.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing that we need to recognize, that the changes we make today are not just for a year, 5 years. They're for decades and generations to come.
Absolutely.
So I tell people a lot, things that we deal with, especially in a growing area like ours in Horry County, is a lot of policy change. A lot of things that have been done the same way for 25, 30 years are now changing at a rapid pace due to the fact of a lot of people we have coming in from different areas.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem we're facing is a lot of locals are having people try and come in and change their way of life to adapt to some other place or some metropolitan area. And the biggest thing I try to explain is change is not always bad. Some change is not good. Some change is very good. But the problem is, if you don't change with the times and the culture, you will be left behind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We do not want our city and our community and our county to be left behind. We want to be up to date with certain things, but certain policies and ways and other things that maneuver in life aren't going to be the same here as they are in a place such as Philadelphia or DC or Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
See, and Conway is not the same little Conway it was even 5 years ago. When I was coming out of high school, it's a totally different place now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people don't seem to understand that concept. So another thing I want to talk to them about is how they can become more community literate. See, people think that just reading the paper constantly, checking Facebook pages for different city and county departments, looking at events pages makes you community literate, but that is not the case. It's more than just a surface level thing. See, you have to look at it, see what can directly affect you or how you can help somebody else. See, even certain events, say for instance, I'm 65 years old, I'm retired, I don't have any young children, but my neighbor next door has a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old. If I know about certain events and I've seen them sitting at home every weekend, or the parents are gone to work and can't find anything for their kids to do in an area like Conway, because that's the main complaint people are having now with young children and teenagers. There's nothing to do in Conway.
Mm.
If you want to do something, you have to go to the beach. But that is not the case. Conway offers a lot of events, and yes, there is room for improvement, but they are on a slow and gradual incline into being more encompassing for all ages. They don't want the city of Conway just to be a quote-unquote retirement town. They want it to be somewhere people to bring young families and to keep adding on generations. Because if you just bring in nothing but retired couples and retired people, nothing new or updated is going to come to the area. So what they want to do is to somewhat urbanize the activities and the culture of Conway. So when you see different events and things like that, and like when I tell about people checking the website for the Parks and Recreation or Horry County Parks and Rec, things of that nature, checking the city website for different events and yard sales, things of that nature taking place, that's a time that you can write something down and not only tell your neighbor, tell people you go to church with, tell your friends in different social groups you're in and clubs, things of that nature. Things like that really help build us together and combine and make new friendships. And that's how communities grow. I've heard people in city council meetings come in to give public input on a rezoning topic and say that they've lived in the same place for 25, 20 years and don't know a single one of their neighbors until something goes wrong and they want to make a change.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And see, I remember when I was growing up, mind you, I'm only 22 years old, so it sounds like I'm 50. People don't take that the wrong way. But when I went to my great-grandmother's house on 16th Avenue, all the neighbors knew each other. The neighbors' kids grew up together, went to high school together, were friends. The people on the surrounding street knew each other, grew up, went to high school together, were all friends. That sense of community is what we need nowadays in our neighborhoods, in our social lives, and in the city of Conway and Horry County and surrounding areas. Because that sense of community is what makes life better for all of us. Because if you don't know something, more than likely one of your neighbors will know something. And if you need somebody to come work on something, one of your neighbors will know somebody to come fix it. If you don't know somebody, if they don't know somebody, you can give them somebody. It's going to help everybody in the long run, so that we can all stand up together against issues and concerns we have about the area, things taking place that we aren't a fan of, aren't in favor of, so that our area doesn't get taken over.
You know, Marcus, one of the things that you said a few moments ago about the growth in the area and people coming into the area, is real. It's essential for people to understand why it's important to be open-minded about the changes that happen in the area. And one thing that you said that's real important is the fact that when you think about the generations that inhabit a particular area, sometimes your churches are an indication of what is actually going on in your community. You either have extremely young people in the church, absolutely, babies even, or you have extremely old people in the church, or seniors in the church, I should say. And the truth of the matter is that, our seniors, as we see through the obituaries that are published monthly in the World Community Magazine, and we're hearing about it almost daily, our seniors are at the age where they're starting to transition. And so if we don't continue to grow our communities, that's how communities die. That's how towns die. That's how, neighborhoods cease to exist. And I know, like, for example, in my neighborhood, there's only, I would say, 2 or 3 families that are like the part of the original neighborhood. Other people have moved to the neighborhood. I have no idea who they are. But the interesting thing about that is that, when even with people moving in, you can tell that it changes the landscape of everything. It changes the structure of things. And now, for example, with new people moving in, new homes being developed, it's like the entire structure of our community is starting to look different. Same thing with, cities like Conway. We can't just create things for Conwayites. We depend on tourism dollars because we're in a natural tourism area. People don't really connect us to Myrtle Beach so much, but think about it. The main thoroughfare into Myrtle Beach is Highway 501 through Conway.
That's correct.
And so that's why it's important for us to continue to develop along that corridor. As you see the growth in Aner, for example. Once upon a time, Aner didn't have a McDonald's and a Bojangles and all the convenience stores they have, and Brother Edward. So now they have it, and guess what? They're capturing that money even before people arrive in Conway, because they're offering restaurants and they're offering gas and other refreshments that people need before they even hit the next major city before Myrtle Beach. So I think, to your point about embracing change or being left behind, when people think about the changes that are happening, they need to think about it in a way that allows them to see themselves in that change. Start new businesses, create new opportunities, start new organizations, do the things that you need to do in order to attract these people who are coming in, figure out what the needs are, and then create a resource for that need or a service for that need. And that's why it's important for, like current Black business owners, especially, in the Black community. It's important for them to take a look at business planning and marketing and things that they need to do to shore up their businesses, to make sure that they're not being left out of the pot, because there's a lot of money that flows through the area. But more importantly, I think as well, as residents, we want to know that people in our communities who have taken on the responsibility of policing our communities, of governing our communities, of growing our communities, are really thinking about not only those things, but the aesthetics of the community, so that we feel proud to be in our community and to promote our own communities. And, when we, Brother Edward was telling me, about all of the wonderful news that you've gathered along the way, this is a first for us. This has changed for WCM Live. We've never had a correspondent who could go out and actually be a part of this show. So this is allowing us to even grow so that we can bring more news from other areas to the community. And, I hope that everyone who's watching values that, because it's hard for 2 people to try and figure out everything that's going on and to, as Brother Errol likes to say, propagate that information every single week. And there is a lot going on. And I think that the more people know, the more we should grow. And the more they should want to be a part of the growth and the change that's happening in our area. And if they don't see themselves in it, then, try to figure out how they can be a part of, the movement or everything that's happening in the area, so that we can maintain our communities and not lose them to other people who are actually coming in with new ideas, who know how to do it. Brother Edward, it's like, we don't want people to come in who've never been here and don't understand the fabric of our community and do it better than us. We have the opportunity to really grow it ourselves. All we have to do is just make sure that we're staying on top of things and we're aware of what's happening in our community, who's moving the needle and who's not. So and make sure that we're at the table for decision making. Okay. Exactly. Right. Exactly, Brother Edward.
Like Brother Cedric said, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
That's true. That is true, because you know what? If people don't show that they are passionate about a particular issue, cause, or something critical that's happening in their area, and they have to do it proactively. You can't do it, behind the 8 ball.
You can't be retroactive about it and wait till after it happens to stand up and say something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I was taught growing up. See, the area I live in Laurel, but I grew up in Conway, near 16th Avenue and the Ward Circle neighborhood. So in neighborhoods like that, you had neighborhood mothers, and they always made sure that everybody knew what was going on in the neighborhood. Everybody knew each other. If a family was in need, then the other families in the neighborhood would step up to help them. If somebody passed away, they would go around there, call, fix food, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. Everybody knew everybody. And in that neighborhood, no houses were built for years. I mean, I can recall at least 10, 15 years before a house was built. And in the past year alone, they built 6 houses on 16th Avenue.
Right. And
people don't understand that the spread and the coverage trickling out of Myrtle Beach, the first place it's coming is to Conway.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's the first place it's coming. Mm-hmm. All that spread coming from Myrtle Beach, you get people that don't want to live directly on the beach and all that traffic. So they're building in Conway. If you ever notice, there's neighborhoods being built everywhere there's any open space in Conway.
It's even spreading out into the rural areas more than now than we've seen in the past. And so you're right.
That's right. There is not a single vacant lot within a 1 mile radius of Conway High School. They're building a new subdivision on Culture Road. They're adding on the subdivisions behind Fats Cafe. They're building over behind the Walmart. There is nothing at all in the busiest section of Conway as far as commerce and eating and entertainment, all of those things that is available. And like you said, that's moving into the more rural area. That's going near the 378 corridor, going further back.
That's right.
See, so and everybody are buying everything up. There's Cades Bay Highway, all of that stuff. It's all getting built up because all of that spread taking place in Myrtle Beach is still trickling out this way because a lot of people move here to get away from the hustle and bustle of the big city. And see it, and they're just as content with a 1/4 acre lot where they can look into their neighbor's window. That's a multitude of land compared to big city living. So everybody's buying those up left and right, and all the family land is disappearing. Family farms, family property has been in family for 5, 6 generations that people's great grandparents purchased. All of that stuff is no longer here. And see, people don't understand when you sell like that, there's not going to be any kind of buffer left between you and anybody who's not from around here. And that presents a lot of issue due to the fact of people do not want somebody telling them how to live in the place they've lived their entire life. They don't want somebody who's new to Horry County telling somebody who's been in Horry County 45, 50 years how things are supposed to be run.
And that's why community relations is real important. And I don't know how much city or county government, mainly city government, gets into that. I know that some city governments have like neighborhood services type of entities that help with community relations. I know Myrtle Beach does, and Mary Cookie Goins is over that neighborhood services division. Not sure if Conway has one, but those types of things are real important because when new people come into the area, that means you're bringing new traditions, new cultures. You're bringing a lot of things that the people who live here originally and traditionally don't always understand. Right. And sometimes that leads to dissension or confusion, especially if you have, for example, white people moving into a predominantly and traditionally Black neighborhood. There's a lot of things that are impacted by everything that you're talking about. And so there's a grand opportunity in Conway, especially because of the amount of growth. You talked about 378. There's a division out there, I think it's called Rosehaven, behind Smith Jones Rec. Yep. Yep. And I don't think people realize how deep that entire subdivision is, but it's pretty deep, right, Brother Edward? I mean,
it's deep,
and they're still adding on to it.
And they're still adding on to it. And I was recently visiting with a friend at home, and I looked up, from her backyard, and I said, where did those houses come from? I mean, it's like 20 houses or more in an area that
I can see.
As far as the eye can see, that never had houses, was always just a wooded area. Right. So you're right. Every little nook and cranny, when you're headed out onto the Sand Ridge, even on the corners where the fork in the road happens, they've already built, homes right there, pretty much like immediately off of the highway. There's a lot going on, and it's surprising, and it's not. But at the same time, it's kind of like, well, something is attracting these people to the South. And Brother Edward might be able to speak more to this because he's lived in, a more northern area before. But, we probably have, the home prices when it comes down to like a comparison of the South to the North. Home prices here probably look more attractive because people in the North traditionally have earned more than people in the South. So when they come down here, their buying power is a lot higher. It's a lot bigger. I remember one time, I have an aunt who was living in New York, and she was thinking about moving to Conway or moving to the, this area. And what she would pay for a home in New York, let's say it was $300,000. She was, barely getting 2 bedrooms and, barely getting a living room, dining room kind of a situation. Yeah. You come down here with $300,000,
you can pretty much pick whatever you want.
You can get a lot. So
you can design a lot better too.
But that's changing.
It is changing, Brother Edward. That's why I said you might be able to speak to that because
it's become almost irrelevant. Mm-hmm. But I say that everything is I just use the word, everything is relative. Okay. They're going to come because of the situation that's been presented. In other words, used to be cheaper housing. You will attract people who are on the verge of retirement with the type of down payment that's required today. I mean, I haven't seen anything under 10% down payment on a new house. And if the average is $250,000, I mean, that's low. Okay. A good normal size house like $300,000 today, I believe. 10% of that is $30,000.
Correct.
Who's been saving up that if you got a family?
Right.
You got children in college.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So there's got to be some kind of creative financing, and I think that's being developed right as we speak. Okay, by the government, and it's been in the works for a while. But there got to be some creative financing where houses will be affordable. Okay, otherwise you're going to have people who will be renting, and then you're going to overwhelm the renting, and then next thing you know, you have a bunch of greedy people who are just going to charge rent as high as whatever. It's a supply and demand thing. Okay, and who knows what's going to happen. Okay, when a person has to pay most of his or her money for rent, even a mortgage, that leaves nothing for education of their children.
Right.
In college, you can't even think about that. You forget about trying to save for college. So, but anyway, Markus.
Actually, I can speak to a point what you're speaking about. Actually, I worked in the construction and building field for some years when I was first coming into college and throughout my entire time in high school. And the thing, like Ms. April said about the community, the people coming in that can have some kind of literacy into the community when they get here, they build in areas of low density. So they're going to build further out in areas like Sand Ridge, where there's nothing but woods, and that back section of the Rosehaven development that almost comes to near Rose Hill Cemetery. They're going to build in areas like that, where it's not technically considered to be dense residential. They're going to build in areas where you got some trees that have been growing for 25, 30 years that somebody owns and doesn't do anything with, so that they can build more towards that area of central activity. You see, because Rosehaven, like we said, it's not 10 minutes from Walmart. It's not 10 minutes from downtown. It's not 10 minutes from any of the restaurants in the main drag on 501. They're going to build in areas that are going to make it convenient for the person to live and also to be a part of the community.
Right.
And so, and then with the financing, like he said, they're going to come up with the most effective way to get somebody in a house, because most of these homes are built as spec homes that are cookie cutter. The only difference you get is accents on things like your door color and what color bricks on the house. But they're all cookie cutter spec homes that are built in a fashion to where they can use the least amount of money on supplies and pump out as many houses as possible. And so the quality of these houses aren't the same because like I said, most people moving in are retired people. There's not a lot of young families moving to Conway to start over or to start a life as a young couple about to raise kids. You see, so the issue with that is they're going to build these cheap spec homes that aren't meant to live in for generations, like a lot of homes have been built in the past, because they expect, okay, somebody's going to be in here the max 34, 35 years, and in 35 years they're going to have to replace. They're going to have to get the foundation lifted. They're going to have to get new AC and HVAC units. They're going to have to get new plumbing work done. They build them in a fashion to where it's not as expensive of a home because it's not built with the same quality.
So Markus, then at the city council meeting, there must have been something about zoning. There must have been some issues about zoning and stuff like that. What can you elaborate on?
Yeah, I can tell you about the biggest topic that took place at city council. So, at city council meeting this week, the Healthcare Partners of South Carolina, which is located. Oh gosh, let me call the road. I got this. Main Street. Right at Main Street, right beside IGA. They are planning to move into the old shopping plaza, which houses the Dollar General on 4th Avenue. Yes, that really long shopping plaza that only has the Dollar General on the corner, nothing else major down.
Across from the bus station. Across from the bus station, Brother Edward.
Yeah, across from the bus station
and the voter registration office. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So, with them moving in there, that presents an issue. For one, you have the Dollar General there. And when they do construction, the Dollar General's going to have to move. Because they want to occupy that whole section of the building. So the Dollar General Corporation purchased the adjacent lot from that shopping plaza directly next to the bus station. It's right next to the bus station, in between the bus station and the voter registration office.
Where the old Piggly Wiggly used to be.
That's it. That's it.
I hate to say that, but
yeah, I did too.
That's one of my favorite stores, the old Piggly Wiggly. Yeah,
it's a very good landmark. But
there's a landmark. Yeah, it was.
The problem was it's not zoned properly for them to build the way they want to. The issue is with them wanting to put a Dollar General there, it needs to be highway commercial. So what highway commercial entails is the store itself has to be in certain proximity to the highway and have parking all the way around the store, including the back. So that corner has perfect road access for parking in the back, but the issue was the developer from Dollar General wanted to do it the most inexpensive way possible. He didn't want to do the upgrades that the city of Conway would like to have, because for anybody who knows that area and the proximity to the Shepherd's Table and other churches, and there's a bunch of different residential neighborhoods and apartments and such in that area, that is their grocery store. That's their Food Line, that's their IGA, and that's their Walmart. And so there's a lot of walking patrons in those stores, to that store in that area. So the main issue was that they did not want to build an up-to-date version of Dollar General. They wanted to build a basic version of Dollar General.
Oh.
So if anybody has been to the new Dollar General across from Conway High School, one that's impossible to get into, that one has refrigerated produce. It has a light selection of meats. There's a lot of different newer additions and features into a Dollar General now than to that one that is located in that shopping center that it's considered to be outdated, because it really is. If you go to any other new built Dollar General built in the past 5 to 10 years, there's a night and day difference. But due to the density of the area, that Dollar General grosses a lot of money, a lot of patrons. And so they want to build an updated version so that it wouldn't be such an inconvenience for people to go grocery shop. They wouldn't have to worry about catching the bus in the rain to go to Walmart, or having to find a ride to get to the Walmart or the Food Line, whichever's closest to them, whichever's their preference. And the topic that was brought up by the mayor and city council was DGX. For people who are not familiar with DGX, DGX is the most up-to-date version of a Dollar General. It's just a compact version.
DGX?
DGX, yes. It's a compact version of your regular supermarket or grocery store.
Oh, okay.
It's like taking a Food Line or an IGA, cutting it in half and supplying all the same things. But it has self-checkout in it. There's a lot of different there's electronic scanners for barcodes to give you prices, things of that nature. You got fresh produce and meats for sale inside of the Dollar General at a better price. But the issue is there are only 12 DGX stores in the entire United States.
Wow.
12, that's it. 12 in the entire United States.
Wow.
But I was looking at a map yesterday. There are over 35 Dollar Generals standing or being built in Horry County alone. 6 of them being in Conway.
Every nook and cranny.
There is nowhere you can drive from one Dollar General to another without finding another one in 10 minutes.
That's right. He's right.
That's right.
There's nowhere you can drive, and there's 35 in Horry County. So
Brother Edward, and I can't get one piece of stock because I think you have to be employed by the company.
Yeah, they're one of the companies like Chick-fil-A have to be an employee to get into stock for those.
Exactly.
Oh, really?
But the issue was the fact that they need a more modernized Dollar General in that area. Because anybody who's ever patronized that Dollar General can tell you, after about 6:30, 7 o'clock, it's really dark. Even though it's in a wide open parking lot, it's really dark. When you go to exit, heading back towards Fifth Avenue, that's a blind corner around that store. You can't see anything, and nobody can see you until you're in the road.
Correct.
And so, for safety's sake, they wanted them to build a more up-to-date version. Because the developer already has building supplies sitting on that adjacent lot across the street. He's got iron out there, dirt, all kind of equipment, and his complaint was that it was costing him money. But he's had that piece of property for over a year now. And see,
so nothing's going to be built there,
sir.
So nothing is going to be built with all that dirt and gravel and everything is across the street from the.
That's where they want to put.
That's where they want to build the Dollar General.
Well, I thought. I'm sorry. Okay.
No, you good. Yeah, that's where they want to place it because Healthcare Partners wants that whole shopping plaza.
Okay.
And see, they just recently got all of the property on that shopping plaza because it wasn't all one piece. It was separate sections.
So when you say the entire plaza, do you mean like all the way around to where the old laundromat used to be, and the
all
entire
the where the old laundromat
building?
and right where to where it butts up at the apartments back there on that left hand side?
I wonder if they're going to demolish that building. Was there any talk of demolishing the building and just building something new? Or are they going to try to take, or I guess refurbish what's there now? Because that's a pretty old building.
And that was another big part of it because the partners and the executive officers of Healthcare Partners of South Carolina were expressing how they have $20 to $25 million tied up in this, plus contributions from Conway Medical Center, because Conway Medical Center was going to give them a couple different imaging machines. They were going to do ultrasound machines, multiple $1 million worth of equipment that they were going to give to Healthcare Partners of South Carolina, because the biggest thing they witnessed was, for one, their clientele is skyrocketing. They said they're going at a 500% increase every year, even before COVID came along. But the primary issue was we were very high risk for flooding in Conway, and everybody on this side of the bridge.
Right.
So when we had that last flood a couple years back, there was no way to get to any health care for anybody who was on this side of the 501 bridge, because the bridge was shut down. But both of them, there was no way to get to it. So anybody who lived in the Conway, Bucksport, Sand Ridge area, and even Aner, had nowhere to get any health care. And so people were having health scares and blood pressure spikes and heart attacks, things of that nature. They had nowhere to go. And Conway Medical Center has been saying for years they were going to come back across the bridge, but they never have. So healthcare partners decided it was time for them to step up. And
That's smart.
Yeah, it's just to help better serve the community. And our community is in desperate need of medical care because, like we said, we are growing. And as you grow, healthcare is going to go up, crime's going to go up, but also money's going to go up. So with the influx of money and the influx of more people and population density, they realize it's time that we need somebody on this side of the bridge to help us. But the biggest thing that really took place yesterday, as far as interaction between council and the public, was when certain council members were discussing the issue of we've had other people who have tried to do something with that same plaza, and we've made accommodations to them, and the deal has fell through. And that's their biggest problem. They don't want, when they make changes to zoning, those changes are in place for years to come. It's not like, okay, the next person comes in and they can just change it too. That's not how it works. See, with the zoning that they want, as far as Dollar General, because the Dollar General Corporation and their developer and the engineer they chose, the problem was they didn't do their due diligence beforehand, even though they've had the property for over a year. And the zoning that they want is the most lenient version of commercial zoning that is offered by the city of Conway. Really? So when I say the most lenient version, that means that a bar could come in, a club, tattoo shop, something that would really be detrimental to the area. Anything could come in that area that could really cause a lot of problems. Because it will be allowed to by that zoning package. And they don't want to make another accommodation for somebody else to come in and do something with that same piece of property just for it to fall through all over again.
Let me ask you this, Marcus, and you may not know this, but when they go through these zoning changes, does it affect a certain radius around the area being zoned, or is it just for a particular like block or, whatever? Because you were saying it's the most lenient package, and we're talking about this that block that the transit authority is now using to basically park buses.
Right.
And there's a bank immediately behind that. There's the voter registration office to the side. Across the street is where you're saying Healthcare Partners wants to go, which is where the Dollar General is now. And then if you're coming up that, I guess that's, what's that, 4th Avenue?
Yes, ma'am.
On the left-hand side, there's there's a building there that's been there for, you can tell it was done in the 60s probably, from the, the way it looks on the outside. But I know that they're like little small businesses here and there. So would the zoning radius extend around all of that area, or just that area where they're trying to build that block where they're trying to build the Dollar General?
So zoning, when it takes place, zoning is just particular to that one tract.
That one tract, okay.
Yeah, that one tract of land, that one piece of property in which the Dollar General will be built, which is across the highway from the plaza where Healthcare Partner wants to be. So anything that would take place in the zoning would only take place for those two tracts of land. And that would make them highway commercial, which means it'd have to be, like I said, in such close proximity to the highway, have parking in front and back, and it'd be easily accessible to the highway through multiple ways.
So Brother Marcus, so what's the resolution to that? You brought the issues, but how did they resolve that?
Well, the way they resolved it was the head of planning and zoning for the city of Conway, the city council made a motion for them to go back, review the plan all over again, and for her to represent it at the next city council meeting so they could do a vote and then have more public input, of course. But due to the lack of preparation, because they did not expect people to be, because when I tell you there were every bit of 25 to 30 people in attendance on behalf of healthcare partners and 5 to 6 on behalf of Dollar General, including the lead developer, they had a crowd there ready to speak on behalf of both parties.
Mm-hmm.
So we're fortunate to have you there, man, and bring us back all this information. I mean, it's I'm sure our viewers are taking this in. Okay.
Yeah.
Even if
that's the biggest thing.
And it sounds like the city just wants to be sure that whatever they create as a zoning code, that whoever they're creating it for as well will be sure to put what they say they're going to put there, and it not be created and then all of a sudden Dollar General decides we're going someplace else, and now this zoning thing is in place, and like you said, it's lenient to the point where other businesses or establishments can come in and build whatever. Is that what the city of Conway wants to be sure of? That's
exactly what they want to be sure of. The mayor and a couple other councilmen and women also stated the fact that the changes they make today don't just affect the business for today, they affect the business for 25 years down the road, their children, their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren, all these effects that take place, like the Dollar General. That Dollar General has been there for years. I know it's been there since I've been alive, and that's 22 years, and I can imagine it's been there before then as well. So the issue is, when you build something like that and change the zoning, if it falls through, it opens a door for any kind of business possible.
Wow.
And that's really dangerous because, like they said, I'm just going to talk plain here. That community is a high crime area.
It is.
Mm-hmm. It is.
So if you present something like a bar to that area, where it's going to be open until 11 o'clock on weeknights and 2 a.m. on weekends, you're going to open the door for crime. You're going to open the door for higher rates of drunk driving, higher rates of assaults and other aggravated and hostile crimes. Things like that will not impact the community in a very pleasant way. Because you have a lot look at that area. When you go up Fifth Avenue and take a right, you've got 2 churches right there.
Yep.
When you go down Fifth Avenue to the left, you've got 2 churches right there.
Mm-hmm.
And you have you have a bank across the street.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at that area and you think you have a lot of people, that whole area from the stop sign at Fifth Avenue, when you take a right, the majority of your citizens that live there are in the 60 plus range.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to add that kind of commotion to a quiet residential neighborhood that's already having a problem with crime leaking over from other parts of town.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's already dark in that corridor of town anyway. There's not a lot of lights, not a lot of street lights. A lot of people don't have lights on the fronts of their homes. It's really dangerous to add something like that to a neighborhood in that condition, where there's not going to be a lot of growth. There's no more room to build new houses and introduce new families into that area. So to add that to an area of town where it's somewhat considered to be a more historic section of town, you don't want to add anything that could cause issues to tear down that area.
And you know what's interesting about this, Brother Edward and Marcus? Okay. It's like a necessary evil, if right. For lack of a better way to put it, because it's not. I don't think anyone believes that like a DGX is not needed. It is, because like you said, Marcus, that's pretty much what people in that area are living off of now. And when we talk about food deserts and access to grocery stores and things like that, that's the closest thing they have to it. So you need that there. But at the same time, it's like, if we put it there, there has to be, careful monitoring, patrol. They have to make sure that the infrastructure can even handle that from the standpoint of community, not just facility, but community. And right. I think, Brother Edward, this conversation alone gives us more insight into how complex government decisions are, and the fact that there's so many layers to it. You really have to be a researcher, you have to be an analytical thinker, you have to really see beyond what's in front of you and think about the what ifs before you can say, yes, let's pass it, let's go. Because if you don't, like Marcus says, you could create something that could be more detrimental to the community than not, and so that's just really interesting, because that Dollar General needs upgrading. It needs upgrading. That entire plaza, I don't know what they're planning to do with it as far as the structure. I imagine with that kind of money, $25 million, hopefully they're going to, knock some things down and redo some things. But it could really be powerful in that particular area and add value to that particular area if it's done the right way. And so I hope that, Brother Edward, so I hope the DGX people will come back with what they need to come back with. And healthcare partners, think about it. Healthcare partners is for everyone. And they especially have a high profile of immigrant and minority clients or patients who go to healthcare partners. So it's definitely a healthcare provider that the community cannot do without. There are people who go to healthcare partners who do not have like a private general doctor, so to say. They'll go to healthcare partners like they go to urgent cares. So
and that just closed down the street. You mentioned urgent care down the street on 4th Avenue. As you're going back towards back downtown, there was an urgent care right across from the right down from the bank, from the Conway National Bank. There was one down there on the left. There was one.
Right.
Okay. Not anymore.
It's closed. Wow.
So healthcare partners taking advantage of this absence of any kind of clinics or anything, and you can't blame them for that. But I can see them taking over that entire plaza. I say plaza, shopping center there.
And see, that was the biggest thing that was voiced by City Council. The fact of the matter is, healthcare partners is a primary physician for a lot of people who couldn't afford it on another basis. You see, with a lot of public healthcare setups, even if you do go to a place like urgent care or doctor's care or something of that nature, you still have to pay out of pocket because it's not covered to a certain amount. So you're paying people have to pay hundreds of dollars out of pocket that have the public healthcare insurance systems. But healthcare partners can refer you, to another physician. Say, for instance, you need to go to a specialist, you need to go to an eye doctor or something of that nature. They can refer you to a specialist at a discounted to almost free rate. And that's why City Council made sure to verse the fact that they want to help. They want healthcare partners to come in, but due to the fact that they're entangled in with the deal with Dollar General, that's the holdup. See, Dollar General is not from here like healthcare partners is.
Right.
Healthcare partners is from Conway. They've served Horry County for multiple years. So they really know what the community needs, and they're trying to help, but the business relationship is the problem itself. You see, and that's the biggest issue they versed. Even Councilman White said, we need help on this side of the river. He said, if you need anything as far as a specialist or anything besides just a checkup, you have to go across the river. And when we were all trapped in here with that last flood, people were, I'm going to say it like it is, people were dying because they couldn't get across the river.
This is interesting, man. This is interesting.
It is.
Yeah, it really is.
And Brother Edward, I have something for you. Guess what? It's free 99.
There it goes.
Woo! Marcus gave me permission to do that. It's free 99.
It's free 99.
It's free 99.
Free 99.
Look at April. We got to patent that now. Okay, we got to. All right.
I don't know that we can, Brother Arrows, but we can try. We can try. But Marcus, that's a great council update there. It really is. It's so interesting. It's like you were telling a story. I was in it like this. Look, Janet Lawrence Patton said free 99.
That's it. Free 99. We love to see it.
Exactly.
But okay, Marcus. In the interest of time, that's not all you have. Is that all?
I'll go ahead and do my regular rundown anyway for the week for
right.
what we normally get from a meeting, and then we'll call it a night.
We call it a night.
Yeah, we'll call it a night. We'll do our regular rundown and we'll call it a night, and then
There you go.
check and then we'll call it a day. So we'll start out with our congratulations, but this time we're going to include some congratulations that took place at the Horry County Council meeting as well. So first we'll start with City Council. They rededicated the athletic offices at Conway Rec Center on yesterday at 1515 Mill Pond Road in honor of Mr. Kenneth Ken Sin, who served 40 years with the City Rec Department as the director and the head of the finance department on yesterday. They wanted to make he retired in early January, and after his 40 years of service, they felt it was very fitting to name that building after him. So we wanted to give a shout out to that. That's a very great thing.
Yeah,
The city recognizing somebody who gave them that much service.
Yeah,
and that's a very large part of your life to helping the community. We all now, as far as the Horry County side, we would like to congratulate the Horry County Fire Rescue Department. They graduated the largest class in the state of South Carolina ever.
Wow.
For people who don't know, Horry County is the largest county land mass and population mass as far as size and density of population on this side of the Mississippi River. And we are growing at a rapid pace. So,
was there a photo associated with this and showing?
I remember seeing a photo on Facebook. You can more than likely find it on the Horry County Fire Rescue Facebook page. But it was also one of the most diverse classes they've graduated in a long time as well. So we really wanted to give them a shout out for that. That's awesome. Very important.
Yeah,
very important.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Habitat for Humanity built their 166th home in Horry County in the city limits of Conway and finished construction on it last week.
Wow,
that's really important. 166 houses built
that
by
is
Habitat
awesome.
for Humanity in Horry County. That's awesome. We love to see that because they help the community so much. Very important. A lot of people don't truly understand the impact of Habitat for Humanity, and if anybody's interested in volunteering to help with any construction in a Habitat for Humanity home, you can reach out to them on their website, and they'll put you on something that's fitting to your physical ability, also fitting to the need. You won't be necessarily putting in joists to the house or anything of that nature, or doing an old school barn raising. But if they need you to lay outside, you'll lay outside. If they need you to put out mold,
you're gonna be careful with that.
Yeah. They don't want to do anything too strenuous without a license.
But look, man, this may be a good venue for someone who's looking to buy a home and they can't afford it. To work themselves up, work their way up.
That's right. Habitat for Humanity has all their applications and everything on their website.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see what. We got. This is pretty interesting. This one I found really interesting. So, if anybody's familiar with the "Welcome to City of Conway" sign, it's not necessarily placed in the city limits of Conway when you're coming off of 501. So, City Council, along with the mayor and the Planning and Zoning Committee, decided that they wanted to erect a new sign in front of Conway High School. There's going to be a new Welcome to City of Conway sign, very similar to the other one that's on. Can't think of the placement of it at this moment. But they're going to put one right in front of the high school. Almost, it's about 50 feet in front of the big Conway Tiger sign.
Okay.
They felt it'd be a very fitting place. When you come into Conway, most of the time you're going to pass the high school and see that. So they really wanted you to relate Conway itself with the high school and that area of town that's very booming as far as economics and things of that nature. So they wanted to make sure you knew about that one. Now we're going to talk about a couple more happenings and meetings. We're going to start with the county council meeting first. This one's going to be a mouthful, and it took me a while to get the numbers right on it, so bear with me. At the last county council meeting, listen, like I said, you see, I had to get comfortable. I had to get right. So at the last county council meeting, the resolution R30/2022 was granted by the South Carolina Office of Attorney General Victims of Crime Act grant. It gave $200,000 to the Horry County Police Department for anything to do with victims advocates or anything to do with helping people after crime, helping families after crime get understanding and get resources, things of that nature. Now, Resolution R31 2022 was from the South Carolina Department of Public Safety Project Safe Neighborhoods Grant, which gave $313,073 to the Horry County Police Department to help with community safety and community education on the purpose of law enforcement and community policing and training. People don't understand that training is very important because it helps you know the officers who are in your community, what rotations they're on, so that you can build that good rapport with them. So in case something is happening, there's not as much fear going in to talk to the police. And that's huge for our community. That's going to be Horry County wide. And so that's really big. We have Resolution R32 2022 from the South Carolina Office of Attorney General Victims of Crime Act, which gave $126,000 to the Horry County Sheriff's Department for that same training and resources. Resolution R33 2022 from the Attorney General's Victims of Crime Act grant gave $361,000 to the Solicitor's Office for training and for them to disperse the money to other county agencies for the same purpose. For people who don't understand the Solicitor's Office is not only just tailored to Horry County. The 15th Circuit Solicitor, which is Mr. Jimmy Richardson, he encompasses all of Horry County and Georgetown County. So a lot of policies that are going to take place in Horry County will also be taking place in Georgetown County as far as what takes place as far as criminal punishment, DUI training, police officer training, community policing, community relations as far as law enforcement and public law. That's very important to know that it spans further than just Horry County. Mm-hmm. And then you have Resolution R34 2022 from the South Carolina Office of Attorney General Victims against Crimes Against Women grant, which gave $95,000 to the Solicitor's Office. So in total, that's over $1 million given into Horry County for victims aid and for community relations and training. That money is going to go to good use to help make sure that our community is not only safer but more educated, and we have better relations between law enforcement, public law, which is your attorneys and judges, public court, things of that nature, and helping the community not only learn, but after a tragic event takes place, giving those victims resources, help, counseling, things of that nature to help them get through that hard time and also to help prevent those issues from happening again. Mm-hmm. You know, that's pretty big, and I want people to know that and understand that. So when you do see things coming out and hear about trainings taking place, and if something is God forbid something is to happen to your family or a loved one, we want you to know that there is money there for those resources. If you need counseling after something happens, or you know somebody who needs counseling, or somebody who's had a crime done against women or something of that nature, to reach out to the county government, whether it's the sheriff's office, solicitor's office, police office, whichever, and get those resources to help yourself and help the community grow and to help us kind of melt together as one instead of being divided. Because when we as people are divided, we can't grow. Mm-hmm. We're bound to repeat history as far as separation and anxiety to be a community. Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest thing. That sense of community is what we really want to broadcast to people who are watching us on whatever platform. That our community is very important, it's rapidly growing, but we have to remember that we are still a unit nonetheless.
That's right. That's right. Well, these are great updates, Marcus. Excellent. I'm assuming you're done. You have more?
I got two more, and I'm done.
Go ahead.
I'm out of here.
Go ahead.
But I promise you, I'm about ready to eat too. I know the people who are watching are ready to eat as well. The city of Conway has a tourism incentive out to promote hotels and other short-term rentals into coming into the city of Conway, which exempt certain tax and things of that nature, so the hotels will come to our area, so everybody doesn't have to get a hotel at the beach. Mm-hmm. They can get a hotel in Conway, pay for out our businesses, and potentially want to come visit our area more than necessarily saying, oh, we're going to Myrtle Beach. They can say, we're going to Conway. Mm-hmm. Also, we have an update. I know a lot of people have reached out to me about this, and other people who are involved in other things such as what I'm involved in as far as city council and things of that nature. On last week Friday, a large chunk of the 501 Business Bridge collapsed.
Whoa!
Yes, a large chunk of concrete fell from the bottom of the bridge onto the walkway underneath the bridge that's right next to Bonfire Restaurant across from Peanut Warehouse. For anybody who's not familiar with that area, there is a parking lot there for a restaurant, as well as the Riverwalk and other sidewalks taking place on the Conway Trailway walkway. So they had a DOT inspector come out, a team of DOT inspectors, along with the transportation and highway building director for City of Conway, Mr. Harrelson. They all attended, and they had the bridge tested for structural integrity. The bridge is still under perfect structure. I mean, you can drive over it. They said there's no danger to drive over it. There's no chance of the bridge collapsing or anything of that nature, because if anybody remembers, about a year back, we was just working on that bridge and couldn't get on it.
It felt like a patchwork.
Right. So they said that for what's been released by the City of Conway and the DOT, there are 2 ledges that go underneath the bridge that are strictly cosmetic, but they are pieces of concrete. And they said that more than likely, more pieces of concrete will fall from underneath the bridge.
Whoa!
So, now, brother Errol, you know engineering.
Yeah. I'm wondering what ensued after that. What kind of conversation ensued after that? After they said that they expect more debris to fall. I call it debris. I'm for lack of a better word.
Well, that's what it is. It is debris technically, because, like you said, it's not structural. It's strictly decorative. So what they say is they're going to try and build some kind of system to go underneath to catch the concrete. But the issue with that is, with those heavy chunks of concrete falling, something is going to get punctured no matter what they use to catch it as a net. And plus, over time, it's going to just build up in weight, because that concrete is not going to just go away and evaporate. And then you have more structural problem there with all of the concrete that's been caught falling. So they're trying to figure out the most aggressive plan to stop it from falling either, or to get rid of it as a whole without closing down the bridge again.
I'm thinking that part of their plan is to hire a structural engineer to come forth with some plans, and I think they'll fall through. I mean, they'll go through with that.
Yeah, they said the DOT Corps of Engineers, and they're trying to enlist the Army Corps of Engineers to come in and figure out something to do, either to patch that and to make it more structurally sound, or to figure out the most effective way to get rid of it without inhibiting traffic, because this is the most traffic dense time of year for us here in Conway and Horry County.
Yeah.
So if they can find all that traffic to 501 and totally eliminate the 501 business, you would have all kinds of traffic jams everywhere, and it would cause a lot more problems. And then we got 2 community events, and I'm out of here. They're actually both in the same place, so that works out great. At 8 a.m. until 12 noon at 200 Laurel Street, which is considered to be the town green, there will be the Laurel Street community yard sale. Anybody can come, anybody can buy, anybody can sell. Very basic. It's pretty easy to understand. And then at the same place from 8 to 12, they are having the community drop-in farmers market.
Right.
So people are bringing their own goods. A lot of people know it's strawberry season.
Oh yeah.
And so you'll have a lot of local fresh strawberries out being ready to be bought and purchased. Both of things are taking place at the same time. Once again, the address is 200 Laurel Street on the town green. And that's all I've got. I saw one question in here, and
there's a question about the hotel. Yeah. Did they say where this would be located?
Yeah. Okay, so they said that it wasn't necessarily based in downtown for the hotels. They just want to bring them within the city limits of Conway. They don't want them to necessarily be downtown in the main corridor, but they would like to bring that tourism aspect into the city of Conway so that they can make more money off of tourism dollars and things of that nature, and the tourism tax. Then I saw one more question up here.
There's a question.
My aunt that put this question in here.
About the resources to engage the retired community with the youth.
Yeah, I do. That's my aunt actually, so that's pretty funny.
Okay.
So the resources available to engage the retired community with the youth. The biggest thing I can tell you, the biggest advocate for youth in the city of Conway is going to be two options: the City of Conway Rec Department, and then you're also going to have Mr. Jonathan Bennett, who is downtown, his new mentoring center. He deals with nothing but youth primarily. So you can either go to the City of Conway Rec Department website. Where's my book? I thought I had my book in here. On the City of Conway Rec website, and then you also have Jonathan, who is I'm trying to think of his address now. I can't think of his address, but you can look him up on Google or whatever website, whatever searching engine website platform you use. Mentoring Minds.
Mm-hmm.
Mentoring Minds Counseling Service. He is downtown Conway. I believe he's, I think his number now, 1503 is his suite number.
Oh, here it is. It's 315 Main Street, Suite 5.
That's it. 351 Main Street, Suite 5.
315 Main
Jonathan
Street, 5. And his number is 843-488-0172.
Right.
I'll add one more to the mix as well. The Whittemore Alumni Association is, of course, in place to bring scholarship opportunities to the youth in our area. But one of the initiatives that we've talked about as an association is how to get the alums and even legacy more involved in the community as far as the youth are concerned. So from the alumni standpoint, it's been talked about or discussed that there's a need to get into the schools to help these kids who are, falling behind as far as reading, math, any type of subjects and just mentoring help that they may need. And so if you're interested in that type of thing and you want more information about how you can be a part of that, you can reach out to me, you can reach out to World Community Magazine, and we can get the information to the Whittemore Alumni Association, especially if you are a Whittemore alum, if you want to be more engaged in mentoring the youth, along with, the other things that Markus talked about tonight. That is definitely an initiative that is rooted in retirees helping the young people to grow and prosper.
Absolutely.
To grow and prosper. So, let's see, there's
no more questions, I believe.
Yeah, Janet Lawrence Patton said, yes, our students need the educational recovery support, and they do, especially post-COVID. And we're not really out of COVID, don't get me wrong, but we are considered post-COVID at this point a little bit. And so, they need that help, especially with all of the gaps and disparities as far as education is concerned. Betty Gauze out of Bud Sports, she said she can't wait to play back. I know that's right. Run it back tonight, Betty. And while you watching, having dinner.
Listen, April, Betty's going to bring us some Bucksport reports pretty soon.
Yeah, we need some Bucksport reports, Betty. We need you to link up with us. Yeah, we
all
need that.
Stuff is happening out there. There's a lot of stuff is going on in Bucksport.
There's a lot. And I have a couple.
Bucksport.
Right. I have a few more community announcements before we go, and some things that we want to make everyone aware of so that, if you're looking for things to do or you want to know more about what's happening in the community, always tune in to WCM Live, because Markus, of course, is bringing us great reports, but we also have submissions from our audience and people who are connecting either through the page or through the network, who is sharing wonderful things with us. You can always email us or just connect with us. So Charles Wright, who is Conway native, and his wife, Joanne Morgan, are actually going to be featured in the Lake City Art Show, Arts Fields, April 22nd through the 30th. And so check them out, check out their exhibits. I understand there's like a little competition that's happening. And of course, Charles Wright is a Conway native. And so that was submitted to us by Priscilla Fuller, who is a longstanding audience member and a member of the community. She's come back to the community. And so we definitely want to make sure that we're supporting our community members who are returning or retirees as much as possible. There's a virtual event that's happening, the Youth Mental Health and Suicide Awareness Teen Talk. And now that's really important, Brother Edward, right there. Youth Mental Health and Suicide Awareness Teen Talk that's happening April 23rd. This is brought to you by the Conway Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, dispelling myths about mental health and suicide in the Black community. Alante James, I know you know that name, Brother Edward. Alante, he facilitated. Yeah, Brother Alante, he's the team facilitator. Dr. Tommy Lawson, Michael Pickett, and Tanya Pickett will be guest panelists along with Dr. Jessica Green. So if you're interested in that, please check social media, check the Facebook post. I'm sure that DST probably has a Facebook page, and we have it posted in the network. I'll post it to World Community Magazine as well, but there is a registration link. You must pre-register. So they're having this on April 23rd from 11 to noon, and you'll definitely want to get in on that. It's a youth mental health and suicide awareness team talk. Miriam Barouette, who is a CCU alumna, she's the owner and operator of Bilingual Connections, and she is just a wonderful individual all the way around. She is the connector in Horry, Georgetown County, and across the state. She's the connector of the Latinx, Latino community, the Hispanic community, to all things that they need to know and understand as far as our communities are concerned. And so they're having their first Latinx Student Summit at Coastal Carolina University. It's free admission. You can register at cma.sc.gov. It's April 28th from 6 to 8. So please make sure you support Miriam. She is the speaker, the guest speaker of the night. And this is a great opportunity for you to understand more about the Latinx community. There's a summer job fair that's happening at the Myrtle Beach High School Gymnasium on April 30th from 10 to 1. You can register at myrtlebeachareachamber.com. And one of the sponsors of this event is the Horry County School System. So if you're looking for a summer job, meaning your youth is looking for a summer job, there's going to be 50 employers at this summer high school job fair. And you'll want to get in on it, especially if your young person needs a job over the summer. And then, of course, we have the 2022 Community Health Fair, which is hosted by, once again, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and it's happening at Whittemore Park Middle School in the parking lot. It's April 30th from 10 to 2 p.m. It says, join us for a free fun-filled day. They're going to have blood pressure screenings, blood sugar and weight checks, let's move sessions, healthy eating, women's health, family health, exercise tips, chiropractic care, mental health, community demonstrations, you name it, Brother Edward, they're going to have all of that. So you mentioned that earlier. And thank you, Janet Lawrence Patton, for providing this flyer so that we could let the community know about this community health fair. Check it out. I've attended their community health fairs in the past. Very well organized. They do a fabulous job. Yes, they do a fabulous job. So, and again, it's free. Brother Edward,
the mighty Deltas.
Bam, free 99.
Free 99.
Free 99. So you all want to check that out. And I think I have one more. The Rape Crisis Center serving Horry and Georgetown counties. They're having a volunteer advocate training, and this is happening in May. So if you're interested in being a volunteer advocate for the Rape Crisis Center, you definitely will want to check this out. Go to the Rape Crisis Center Facebook page. You can check out their website to get more information. Thank you, Sharon Beatty, for providing this flyer with the information. I will post all of this information to the network. I think some of it is already posted to the network, but I'll post it there and post it on World Community Magazine as well. But this is a wonderful opportunity for you to also give back to the community in a very intimate way. And I think that's all I have as far as community announcements. And if you have any community announcements that are about events, festivals, workshops, health fairs, whatever you're doing, and they're free to the public, get in touch with us and we'll include it in our community announcements.
99. All right.
Yes. Yes. Oh, absolutely. Wow. So, and thank you, Janet. We appreciate you as well. So that's all I have for the night.
Yep, that's all I got.
I think Marcus is ready to eat, Brother Edward. I am too.
Yes, I am.
Listen, it's almost finals week. I got to get these last finals out the way.
We got to keep him. Yeah, we got to keep him nourished and ready to go. So
finals week next week is almost over.
There you go. Well, good luck to you. We know you're going to do well.
You're good at that. Mm-hmm. So to our viewers, and we appreciate everybody participating, all of our commenters, and I know you to our viewers, I know you enjoyed Markus as well as we did, and looking forward to some more things. Oh, he's going to have them for us now. Mm-hmm. Even though he directs you to the websites of these places, but his narrative is more effective, it appears, when he gives it to us regarding these events in the past and the present and so forth. So anyway,
the new magazine is on the website, Brother Edward.
Oh, it's on the website, but just in case, Yeah, look
and Markus is on the cover.
Who's on the cover?
The fellow looks real familiar.
They look familiar?
He look kind of familiar. I might know him.
You might know him?
Yeah, I think so.
Everybody probably knows except you. Okay. But anyway, we'll say good night to our audience. Good night. I mean, you got an hour and a half of very informative.
It was good stuff. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, April.
You're welcome.
And Markus. And
next week, you want to tell them what we're going to have next week?
Yeah.
So next week we'll have Attorney George Graham, and he will be here to discuss wills.
That's right.
WILLS, as in you need a will, living will, final will, whatever. So he'll talk about that topic, and I know it's a pretty sensitive topic. A lot of people don't like to talk about it, Brother Edward.
No, they don't.
But it's important. Mm-hmm.
And he's going to come out and tell you if you don't have one, what the consequences are. Some of the consequences already been happening and spelled out. That's a big thing in Conway. Okay, all these generational things. But anyway, enough of everybody's time. So we'll see everybody next week, same time, 7 p.m. And thanks for everybody with their support. And Godspeed. Good night.
All right. See you later. Have a good week.
Thank you for watching the World Community Magazine's Hour of Power Live on Facebook with your host Edward McQueen and April Garner.